In this video, my Clozemaster review for learning Thai, including a comparison with Glossika. Welcome back to Nick Learns Thai. I'm Nick. In this video, I'm going to give my review of Clozemaster. Clozemaster is a language learning app. They support about 70 different languages, including Thai, which is great. We know there aren't that many platforms that support Thai, so this is another great one to have in the arsenal. But basically, underlying, it's a flashcard app which focuses on the close system. So basically, fill in the blank, gives you a sentence with a word missing, and you've got to jump in there and fill it in. And that's the word you're trying to learn as part of the flashcard. This has different advantages over just a word to translation type flashcard because you're getting more context, getting a more understanding of what the word meaning is in terms of the context rather than just a pure translation. Then on top of this flashcard system, which is sort of a tried and true system, they've got all sorts of other tools, what I call a Swiss Army knife of different tools integrated, such as AI tools for explanations and for images generated, and also Google Translate for being able to highlight text, individual words or snippets of sentences and getting translations so you can use that to help you understand more about what this sentence means. Clozemaster has three different skills that you can build on, one being vocabulary, one being listening skills, and one being speaking skills. And in each of these skills, you're still with the flashcard system, and you've got different modes of entering the text or of guessing the answer, guessing the word that's missing. So one of them is selecting from multiple choice, one is typing in the answer, and one is speaking the answer. And then you've got various options for clues if you can't get it, such as using an AI-generated image to remind you, to help you. You can toggle the multiple choice on or off. You can use a first letter clue, and you can also look at the translation as well. I don't think they say this anywhere, but I think most people agree that it's best for sort of upper beginner and upward from there. I think a pure beginner would find it difficult to get good value out of this kind of platform. So keep that in mind. Okay, the biggest pro is the integrated tools such as Google Translate on any highlighted text and AI for grammar and word explanations and for AI generated images. The biggest con is the sentence quality. So one Reddit thread with native speakers commenting said that the sentences are not very natural Thai, and also the voices are computer generated, so they're not as good as native real audio. What's the app best for? I found it best for learning and understanding new words and sentences, and also practicing typing and spelling. Okay, here is the criteria that I'm using to rate the app. You can see I've already got the scores in there for Glossika from a previous review, which you can find a link to in the description. I've actually added one more element there towards the bottom, which I'll go through a bit later. But I'll be going through each of these individually for Clozemaster and giving my score and a little bit about it. Also, it's worth noting that I started using Clozemaster around 1 year ago, and I probably used it for about a month or so on the free plan. Then I thought I really liked it, so I jumped onto the pro subscription, and I used that for another 1 month or so. But then I pretty much stopped using it for the last 10 months since then. And my pro subscription was about to expire, so I thought this would be a good time to do this review before I let it expire. So I will tell you later in the video why I decided not to continue using it after I was initially quite impressed. So that will come a bit later. Okay, the first category here is Thai content quality, and I'm rating it 3 out of 5. They've got 10,000 Thai sentences in their Fluency Fast Track program, and they're separated down into blocks of 1,000. Now, these sentences appear to have been mined from various databases, or there might be some other sources in there as well, and probably some curating too. But as I mentioned, there's a Reddit thread, which I can link down below, where they talk about the sentence quality and how natural they are. And there's several native speakers commenting in there saying that they're not really that natural, although they still think that they would be useful for gaining the meaning of new words by seeing those words in context. So it's still got use there, but it's just not as good as having, totally natural, everyday sorts of Thai sentences. Okay, the next category here is the Thai to English translation quality. I'm giving it 3.5 out of 5. So it appears to be machine translation mostly, and it's pretty good most of the time, as you would see with machine translation in general, but it misses the mark sometimes. Okay, for the learning system and tools, I'm giving it 4.5 out of 5. It's quite a high score, and that's because this is where the platform really excels. They've got like a spaced repetition flashcard system, which is a tried and true method of learning. And then they have integrated various other tools like Google Translate and ChatGPT, which is very helpful for gaining extra insight, highlighting words or parts of words or snippets and phrases to try and understand them. And there's also AI-generated images to help you with the clues to guessing the missing words in the closes. So it's lots of great tools there. Fun and motivational aspects, I'm rating it 3.5 out of 5. Now, the underlying idea, so flashcards, as many of us would know, is pretty boring, but they've actually done a pretty good job of sort of doing their best to make it more interesting and more motivating by adding various other features. So for starters, the underlying way that they do their flashcards is the cloze method. So basically there's a sentence and you've got to guess, or you've got to fill in the missing word. So that's already, I think, a little bit more interesting than just a flashcard deck where it's a Thai word with the English translation. They've also created various features like streaks, which many other apps have. They've got leaderboards, they've got points. So there's lots of bits and pieces there to help you to stay motivated and make it a daily habit. However, at the end of the day, it is, fairly repetitive. It is a flashcard system, underlying it, and you can't escape the fact that that is quite boring and repetitive. So, that has to be remembered as well. But they've done a relatively good job of making it more interesting than just, standard flashcards. Okay, for productivity, I'm giving it 5 out of 5. Another really high rating. I think they've done a really good job with their productivity tools. Now, I should note that I like to do my learning on the computer, so with their sort of web interface. So most of the productivity stuff, I think it makes most sense when you're using it on the web interface. When you're using a phone with the mobile apps, which they do have, the typing and stuff is just a lot slower. So it's not as efficient. Now they have tons of keyboard shortcuts. Again, this is more of a desktop related feature, but that just makes it really efficient for using it. So I definitely recommend using those shortcuts and using the computer interface or the web interface on a computer to get the most efficiency out of that process. On their mobile app, they do have a hands-free mode, I noticed. I haven't used the mobile app extensively, but that is something I noticed, which I guess is an efficiency thing, which is more specific to mobile and doing things hands-free, just plugging in the earphones and listening away. They also have tons of settings in there where you can customize, the speed and what's showing on the screen, what isn't, and things like that. So you can really kind of adapt it to your style of learning, which, that's another thing that's going to help with your productivity if it's well matched to how you like things to be. Okay, the next category here is portability. This is the new aspect, the new category that I've added. Now, I've already sort of back-rated Glossika as quite low for this one. And then for Clozemaster, I'm rating them 3 out of 5. So what is this portability? This is about the idea of being able to import stuff from other platforms and also export stuff from Clozemaster a way that you can then, use somewhere else as well. So they've got actually some pretty good tools for importing. You're able to import sentences of your own. You're able to import individual words, and then they'll find sentences for those words. You're also able to take words and sentences that are already in the platform and kind of reorganize them into your own different sets and lists. But they don't really have any tools that I could find for exporting. So, I think ideally I'd like to see the ability to export words you've already worked on, maybe a list of words that you've learnt as far as the platform's concerned, and then you could re-import that into another platform or merge it with other lists, to use in your other learning. So I've come to think more recently that this is a really important part of learning, because I don't think there's really one tool that can do everything for you in your learning. So you're really always going to be using a mixture of different tools and different resources. So the ability to have portability of data from different platforms, different resources that you're using is quite important. And obviously it's in the app's best interest often to not give you that ability, because they want to keep you on their platform. They don't want to make it easy for you to take data to other platforms, but that forces me to have to give them a lower rating on this aspect. And this was, in fact, the main reason I stopped using Clozemaster last year after those initial 2 months. So I was really kind of into the platform. Then I started thinking more about this issue, and I wanted to use other apps and things, and I really was trying to focus on frequency lists and making sure I was learning vocabulary by order of frequency and learning the best vocabulary. Now, Clozemaster does say that they are doing that. They're using some kind of frequency list, but they don't give you details on what that list is. And again, they don't give you the ability to export progress or to see anything about, the words you've learned in terms of, list or a stat, stats on that. So that was the thing basically that pushed me away from the platform, even though I'd already paid for a year of pro membership. Now, it doesn't mean that other people, necessarily going to be put off by that. I still think it's a great platform, and having played with it just recently again, in preparation for this review, I do see some great features in there, and I do think it's a platform I could come back to. So even despite, the portability issue that had turned me off initially, I think there's some great features in there. Particularly, I liked the AI generated images as a clue for when you're filling in the blank. Because then it's a way of tying the meaning of words to a concept, so an image, instead of into a translation, which is something that another thing I've been on my to-do list recently with my vocabulary learning, is trying to tie words more to concepts and sort of meanings rather than to an English translation. So I could definitely see myself coming back to it. Not right now. I'm going to let my pro membership lapse, but I could come back to it after my current Anki stuff is finished. And finally, we've got price. So it's a little bit cheaper than Glossika, sort of 10 to 25% cheaper, depending on what plan and what kind of time length you're on. So I've rated it sort of 4 out of 5 in that respect. And they also have discounts and things available, I noticed. For instance, I jumped on the free plan, and then after a week or so, they send you an email with a discount for the pro membership. So if you want to get the pro, then wait for that. I think they also have discounts at different times. So look out for discounts and try to get the best deal there if you want to get on the pro. Okay, that brings us to the end of the review. Here are the final scores. You can see them all lined up there. Each sort of category out of 5. We've got both Glossika, which I've previously reviewed, link in the description, and we've got Clozemaster here on the right. And I've added actually a total score at the bottom as well. And you can see that Clozemaster comes out ahead, but I still think Glossika is a great platform as well. Again, check out my reviews on that. I just kind of focus on slightly different things. For me, Glossika is most useful for working on your pronunciation, because they have the high quality native audio, and the sentence quality is probably slightly better as well. whereas Clozemaster, the real strengths there are in kind of learning that vocabulary, seeing it in context, getting the meaning there, and using that system that way. Thanks very much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, comments, or any kind of experiences with these apps that you'd like to share, please put them down in the comments below. If you'd like to see more videos like this, then you can check out what else is on the channel, and please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.